محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين وصل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us beneficial knowledge. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us knowledge that He subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. So we are still in the book of prayers. So we've been in the book of prayers for a little bit of some time. So we've covered about what are the integral parts of the prayers, meaning the pillar, the arkan. We've covered about the ab'ad of the prayers, meaning the things that if I did not do, then I need a substitute, i.e. I need sujood to sahwu to replace that specific component. And then we did the nawafil of the prayers, the sunnah part of the prayers. For example, like raising the hand, the qabd, putting the hand, reciting a surah ba'da Fatiha, and. And we spent about 3 weeks covering all those specific components in details. Now, inshallah, we're going to look at the makruh acts in the prayer. Right? When we say makruh, what does that mean? Disliked. What does that mean? Okay, if I engage in it, I'm not sinful, and it does not invalidate my prayer. But if I abstain from it, and I don't engage in it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward me. Not only that, my prayer is going to be more virtuous. Right? So now we have to keep that in mind. Any of this can occur to us at any point, but that doesn't mean that my prayer is invalid. Right? This does not invalidate my prayer. So these are just acts that are disliked. Right? So the question is now, because it's disliked, how can I get virtue and reward from it? Because I did not engage in them, but does that mean that I'm getting rewarded for that specific act? What do you guys think? So, for example, the first thing is leaving any recommended acts of prayer. And we've spoken about at length. So, for example, a recommended action is what? Like reciting a surah after Fatiha in Raka'ah 3 and Raka'ah 4 of the cycle prayers of 3 or 4. So let's say, for example, Ready? Can you stop? So reciting a surah after Fatiha in Raka'ah 1 and 2. Raka'ah 1 and 2. So I say Allahu Akbar, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Fatiha done. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Qul huwallahu ahad until the end. So that is recommended action, right? So what if I just leave it? Raka'ah 1, Allahu Akbar, Fatiha, Allahu Akbar, Ruku. Am I getting... I'm not sinning, it's not going to invalidate my prayer. But the opposite is, I recite it now. Am I getting rewarded for just the mere recitation?
Yes.
Okay.
You get more reward.
I get more reward. So it's two folds. By me engaging in it, Allahu Akbar, Fatiha, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, another surah. I get rewarded for reciting that surah, that's one. 2, for me having an intention of doing recommended things. I must have an intention. So let's say outside, let's take this concept of dislike, makruh, outside the prayer. Okay? Drinking with my left hand is what? Is disliked, makruh. Okay, I drink with my left hand. Or my right hand. At what point will that makruh act, when I abstain from it, be rewarded? The moment that I have intention not to engage in it. Because I can, just pick up the drink and drink it with my right without having the intention. Right? Because it's permissible, mubah. Something permissible for me to convert it so that I can get points, i.e. so that I can get thawab from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I have to have an intention. Right? And we spoke about that in the beginning, that each and every single thing that we do, we need intention for it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward us from the hadith of Umar. So it is disliked for us to leave any recommended acts in prayer. Any some of the recommended acts that you guys remember that we have in prayer? Let's mention some. What do you guys think? Some of the recommended acts in prayer. Some of the sunnah within the prayer. Some of the sunnah within the prayer. No?
I would love to answer, but I honestly cannot distinguish between what I do that's, I mean, some things I can, but some of the stuff that I do, I know it's sunnah, but I'm not sure.
Okay, but just say some of the things that you think from the top of your head can be sunnah within our prayers. I'll start. First, raising the hand. Allahu Akbar. Raising the hand is a sunnah. I don't have to raise my hand.
What about when you come back up from like a
Well, raise it to where?
Huh?
Well, raise it
In the Shafi'ī school, we raise it up to the shoulder, up to the ear, like this. Right? I know some school, they have to, in the Hanafi at least, you have to touch your, I don't know, what is this called?
earlobes.
Earlobes, yes. You have to touch your earlobes. But in the Shafi'ī school, you go up to the length of the ear, but to the side of the shoulder, like the Allahu Akbar. My palms stretched out, apart, and my palms facing the Qibla. My fingers like that, Allahu Akbar. Holding the hand is sunnah. I can leave my hand on the side in the school, and it's well and fine. My prayer is valid.
Okay.
Yeah, within the Shafi'ī school, you can leave your hands on the side.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
But I had a question, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Some people here on the navel.
Yes.
Some.
So we spoke about that last week, but I'll repeat. There's a very excellent question. In the madhab, there's three ways that you can hold the hands. The predominant within the madhab first is where is the position, without showing how. The position of holding the hand is between the chest and the navel. Okay, between the chest and the navel, that's the place for it. That's one. Two, there's three ways of now holding the hand within the chest and the navel. One, I will put my right hand over my left hand this way. I will hold the kur, this in Arabic is called kur. I'll hold it and I'll put one like that. Or I will hold it there, but I'll put three like that. Or I will do it like this. So these are the three ways that is transmitted within the school. But we have Imam Shirazi. Imam Shirazi takes the Hanafi opinion, but within the madhab we don't take that. Meaning it's below the navel.
So this is practiced in Pakistan.
That is Hanafis. So the Hanafis and the Hanbalis is below the navel. The Malikis is here and predominantly on the side. The Shafi'is is between the chest and the navel here, and the three ways that we just mentioned. And some Shafi'is, you'll see them in Nawafil, they'll live, they'll play, they will not play, but they will pray with sadal, with their hands on the side. It's all. So now that specific part of holding the hand is what? That is a recommended act. If let's say, for example, you go on prayer Isha, Allahu Akbar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is what? It's okay. It's okay. But me leaving off intentionally, especially in the Farida, is disliked. And dislike does not equate to invalid prayer. It just means that it's disliked.
Are you sinful?
I'm not sinful. That I'm not sinful. But if I refrain from it, if I do not engage in it, I'm rewarded. So the question is, I have no reward or reward. Which one can I choose? It's reward, right? Absolutely. The other thing is turning needlessly one's face during prayer. Meaning that, okay, Where did we say that the spot that I am recommended to look at?
The prostration.
The prostration, right, in the school. The Maliki school, you look at the direct ahead of you. But in the Shafi'i school, you look at the place of the prostration. So Allahu Akbar, right? I'm looking at there. So sometimes you see somebody wants to sneeze. They will do like, right?
Yeah.
Again, that is, they're doing it with need, right? They don't want to just blow out, they want to cover there. Okay, but sometimes you see somebody just moving, and we said, when facing the Qibla, how many wiggle room do I have? 45, ahsant, right? So I have a 45 peripheral. So I can either, this is the Qibla, I can either do this, I can either do this. But needlessly, yani, the whole time I'm looking at this guy's shirt, is written Nike. I look at this guy's shirt, written something else. I'm looking here, I'm looking there. You see, I'm busy moving, even though my prayer is not invalidated because I'm within the range. But what am I doing? I am not focused. I'm turning around, right? But for example, a mere glance, like, right? For example, I'm praying, for example, masalan in my house, and there's the door, and I want to see somebody who's coming in. I glance just for a moment. Who is that coming in? That's okay, because that's a glance, and I'm still within my peripheral, right? But me constantly doing that is disliked. And then we have the Prophet ﷺ's hadith that it says, and this is on the authority of Sayyidah Aisha alayha salam. Sayyidah Aisha, this hadith is narrated in Bukhari, Sa'altu Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam an iltifat fi salah. So she asked the Prophet ﷺ about looking and turning around during the prayer. He said it's something which the devil uses to snatch from a person's prayer. Meaning that the shaitan is not only after you outside the prayer, but he's even more attacking us within the prayer. And the small things that he goes and takes from us is little things. And it's okay to look. Just look one time. It's okay, look the second time. Right? So that you don't pay attention. Right? And then we have the hadith of Sahal, in again. This is narrated in Abu Dawud, that the iqamah for the morning prayer was pronounced, right? And the Prophet ﷺ began to offer his prayer. And he said he was looking at the mountain pass. The Prophet ﷺ was looking at, so maybe this is the Qibla, he is looking at the direction. He's like paying attention. So Abu Dawud, he says, he elaborated that the Prophet ﷺ had sent a horseman to the mountain at night so that he can keep a look. So he's looking at if that individual is returning back or not. So when somebody has an excuse of turning, this is the hadith that we use to signify that, you know what, if there's a need for me to turn, again, remember, within my radius, and we said my radius is what? 45, which gives me like a 90 almost, right? Within the radius is okay and fine. With excuse. And they use the hadith of Sahal in the Sunan of Abu Dawud. It is disliked to look up in the sky, right? To look up in the sky when you're praying. We said, where is the position for me to focus and look at in prayer? The place of prostration. So that is where I'm recommended to look at, the place of prostration. Okay, and we said in the Shafi'i school, something very unique to us is that we have something called the qunut. In every fajr, and the second half of Ramadan, we are recommended, right, emphatically, it's an ab'ad of the prayer that we offer qunut in the last rak'ah of Fajr and in the last rak'ah of the whatever prayer that I'm praying in the evening. So sometimes when we make dua outside the prayer, we say, Ya Rabb, right? Now, when I am praying and I lift my hand, sometimes people, you see even in Taraweeh, somebody say, Ya Allah, right? It's in the school, looking up in the sky is disliked. Again, I need to repeat this again. If something is disliked, does that mean the prayer is invalid? No. The prayer is valid, correct, sound. But is it an excellent quality? No. Right?
Keeping your eyes closed.
Great. Nice question, right? Keeping your eyes closed. The fuqaha in the Shafi'i school spoke about. If keeping the eyes is going to give you khushu and concentration, then it's actually recommended for you to do it.
Really?
Yes. What is the goal? What is the goal? Khushu in the salah.
Because I know I don't know what madhab, but there's a madhab
It's makruh. Yes, I think it's some Hanafis. Yeah. It's makruh, right? But let's take it to the opposite. If an individual doesn't need it for concentration, and bil-aks, it will, for example, in Taraweeh, mashallah, I had good iftar, and closing my eyes, you know where it's going to take me. At that moment, what is the hukum? It's makruh, right? It's makruh, because we know where it's going to, that closing of the eyes, we know where it's going to lead to, right? I'm going to sleep and only Allah knows after that. So it's based on the situation. But the recommended in the school is what? To open your eyes and look at this place of prostration. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. Right? And we have the hadith of Anas bin Malik, which is in al-Bukhari again, that the Prophet ﷺ is saying, how is it that some people raise their eyes towards the sky during the prayer? And the Prophet ﷺ, he emphasized saying that people must refrain from raising their eyes towards the heaven in salah, or else their sight will be certainly snatched away. Is the Prophet ﷺ saying your sight, just by mere looking there, is he saying that your sight is going to be taken away? No, he's just trying to emphasize on a point that if you keep looking up, if there was a possibility this will happen, is a form of what? Is a form of threat to tell us don't engage in it. Right?
Caution.
Caution, yes. That's a better way of saying it. MashaAllah.
So Ramadan is threatening, Ya Rabbi.
Ya Allah, Allah help us. Yawning in salah and actually outside salah is both disliked. Right? Yawning. Some people when they yawn, MashaAllah, you think they're making like, man, Habibi, you know, slowly. Then, what is recommended in prayer and outside the prayer, but because we're talking about the makruh acts in prayer, that one should try to fight it off. But we know sometimes, man, we are really tired, and that, no matter how much you want to suppress that, you have the hadith of Abu Hurairah, radiallahu anhu, that the hadith that talks about sneezing, but in that he says, but yawning is from the shaitan. The Prophet ﷺ is telling us that yawning is from the shaitan. So if one of you yawns, he or she should try the best to stop it. If they are not able to, then anyone who yawns, yani, again, yawning what? Mannerlessly, then the shaitan laughs at you. Right? There's some decent human being etiquette that we should have, and this is some of it. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ is not only teaching us akhlaq fi salah in prayer, but he's teaching us akhlaq outside the prayer. So some of these things is something that we can MashaAllah, practical. Some of these things is